Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to an episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button. And as well, if you're tuning in on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well, check us out on Periscope, either by Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Elon Musk is going to change it next month too. And you can check us out, like I said, on Periscope at XtalknIsh, and check us out on my personal page at X_Williams81. Whenever I find a link on my timeline, whenever it wants to pop up, because the algorithm sucks, I'll go ahead and retweet it because it don't want to pop up for me right now. But hey, here we go. Go ahead and retweet that for you boys and girls, and go ahead and tune in on all the fun we have here for a recap of week 2 of the NFL season. We appreciate y'all for joining us once again. Y'all know how we do here on Next Talking Ish. Of course, I have to see how my boy's doing, and I will do that in just a second. But before we go into our spill, I just want to remind everybody that, yes, we are still giving away this beautiful mini helmet. We're going to auction it off, and today will be one of the first clues that I will give away today. And it'll be a trivia question that you'll have to, of course, keep and store the answer until it's time to release the answer to figure out what you figure out if you have the right answer or not to be able to win this beautiful prize of a signed mini helmet. So, with that being said, Ish, take it away. How you been these last couple of days and this past week so far?
I've been chilling, man. Watching a lot of football. It's been pretty cool. Catching up on all the hoopla with the Colorado game and the situation with the late hit, and now we got death threats going out. I mean, just so much going on. But other than that, just cool. How about you, bro?
Yeah, we've been, of course, talking about in our little group chat when it comes to how you want to view all of that. At the end of the day, I will say, and I've told you this multiple times, I've told friends of ours that play football, thank God we did not have social media when we played football because I remember very vividly the one time that I got in trouble at Lincoln Creek High School for not even talking mess. I was actually trying to pump up our school and pump up our players, and I got in trouble for talking on a blog. So that was way before social media was what it is now. And I can only imagine what would go on if I had social media in my hand as a high schooler. But yeah, death threats, that's not cool at all. And having not just his information, but his parents' information spammed all across the internet. That's not what we do this football thing for. That's not what it's about. But that's another topic for another day. We'll let the other college people talk about that, and we'll enjoy another week of Prime. We'll be tuning in, of course, on Saturday to see them take on Oregon, and we'll see what happens with that one because it's going to be a very tall task taking on Oregon without Travis Hunter. So we'll catch up with all that another day. Fracture Wanda says another week in the books, but please, and I beg you, please don't talk about Chubb. My knee hurts from just typing this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are going to have to talk about Chubb, but we won't talk about, of course, the unfortunate injury. So we'll gloss over all of that. All right, let's go ahead and save Monday Night Football towards the end because I will actually be displaying the trivia question after we talk about the Monday Night Football games as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save all of that. Let's go ahead and take it all the way back to Thursday Night Football, when the Vikings went into Philadelphia and did not come out with the win. The Eagles took care of business, which made them 2-0 on the season. Ish, your thoughts on this game?
It's similar to what happened last year. The Vikings just can't win against some of these better teams.
Whoa, sir, stop. What we're not going to do is talk about what the Vikings, quote unquote, didn't do last year. Last year, they were 11-0 in one possession games. Okay, they were able to do what they weren't able to do 2 years ago when it comes to
Eagles last year. Okay, so
I'm talking about a regular season. I'm just saying, talking about the
one possession games.
Last season, the Vikings were not the older Vikings when it comes to not getting the job done. They got the job done last year. This year, right now, they're starting out not getting the job done.
No, they're not.
First of all, sir, don't make me start with Danny Dimes, okay? Don't make me get on you.
We'll get to that
We'll get
later
to that.
on.
Oh
Don't
yeah, we're
worry
gonna get to
about it.
that. All
Don't
right.
worry about it because I'm
Continue.
ready for all y'all that were counting out Danny Downs last
You
week.
counted them out too. You didn't
I
watch the
didn't
game.
count him out. I said I don't know how he's gonna carry these bums, but anyway, um, yeah, much of the same. I don't even really need to get into it here. For the Vikings, it's unfortunate, and I don't think a lot of people saw them going 0-2 to start the season out, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they bounce back and how they're going to handle all those personalities in the locker room. Because I know Justin Jefferson, he's not going to want to put up with that much longer. Also, the
Not,
question with Kirk
not gonna be
Cousins.
gritty, and when you 1-5.
Yeah, oh no, no, not at all, not at all. So yeah, but Philly didn't look as strong in this game. They look good, but there are some questions about them, and I'm starting to think, is San Francisco, closing that gap a little bit more? I know a lot of people were hyping Philly up and saying Philly back to the Super Bowl, but there's some other teams in the NFC that might have something to say about that.
I would love to piggyback off of what you just said on that part. I will say this: I put my rankings out there on social media a couple of hours ago, and I have a couple of pushbacks on how people are viewing it when it comes to the top three teams in the AFC and the NFC. And the NFC, I have the Eagles as the number one team, and it's not because of a carryover from what happened last year to this year. It's also not so much about who the teams that they've played. When I'm looking at the actual rosters, I'm looking at the depth that the Eagles have. That's the main reason why I have to rank them a little bit over the Cowboys at the moment. Cowboys are on
Really?
fire.
No,
Cowboys are on
Cowboys are
fire.
the top team in the NFC.
You look. You can't make it. I can't make an argument against that for you saying that. My question is if Dak was to go down, it's just the same team. They're not obviously the same team, but can they still win a crucial game when necessary? If Micah Parsons was to get hurt for that Cowboys defense, can they still only give up 21 points, maybe 25 points? The way the Eagles are set up, I think because of the depth that they have on all three levels of the defense, that would, for me, I think I have to put them a slightly above the Cowboys after week 2. Things will change in 2 weeks. Things will change in 4 weeks. But for right now, I like the depth that they have on both sides of the ball. And again, it's easy to say it could be some trouble in paradise going on with Jalen, and also, of course, with AJ Brown. But I don't look at it like that. I just look at it as two guys that want to win. Obviously, with AJ Brown, and as a receiver, we all know we can't make any effective plays if we don't have the ball. And I look at those two guys, two competitors, two best friends, as Jalen Hurts said, and that's just something that's going to be swept under the bridge and not really be something that we have to worry about within that Eagles organization moving forward. So I think because of the veteran leadership that the Eagles have, because they've been there, done that, I have to put them number one in my rankings after week 2.
No.
I understand. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Raiders and the Bills. Bills, of course, took care of business at home, as we predicted. Was a little shaky at first. It was a little questionable. Raiders took their little early lead, and then the Bills took care of business afterwards. I think after 2 weeks, both teams have had their own versions of humble pie so far, right? I mean, the Bills are week 1, Raiders now week 2. I think we know about both of these teams so far to say that the Bills are going to most likely compete for a playoff spot. The Raiders are going to be the Raiders and most likely be mediocre. Do you pretty much see the same for both of these teams?
Yeah, I definitely see the same thing for both of these teams. Definitely the Bills are going to be competing for playoff spots, and the Raiders, I mean, they may be competing for that third wild card spot. They definitely can compete for that third wild card spot. I think for the past couple of years now, they've been in that conversation because they are such a volatile team as far as on their day, they are a really good team. And then on the other day, they are one of the worst teams. So we'll just have to see how they handle everything. We'll see if they stay out of drama because that tends to create distractions over there in Vegas. So if maybe they can stay quiet for once throughout the season, they'll be able to focus up and at least get a wild card spot.
I mean, you said that about the AFC, but of course, coming to the season, we talked about how heavy the AFC is at the moment. But after 2 weeks, the best teams are actually reside in the NFC, which is ironic. But hey, that's how football
Yeah.
is. You don't play it on paper; you play it on the field. Um, it's hard. Of course, it's too early to tell that the Raiders are going to compete for a playoff position. I think the AFC is just so loaded that I see them on the outside looking in. Maybe Josh McDaniels can work his magic and find a way into that 7th seed, but we'll see what happens when the season gets more towards the mid part and we start seeing what the Raiders are going to do, either ascend or most likely descend, just due to them being who they are. All right, Ravens versus the Bengals. Interesting matchup, of course, two division rivals. Ravens took care of business on the road. We, of course, both picked the Bengals to win this game coming off of their week one loss, thinking that they would try to even up their record going 1-1, but that was not the case. And also, it seems like it could be a little bit more concern for Joe Burrow as well coming out of this game. And one thing about the Ravens, as the Houston Texans saw week one playing against the Ravens, when you play against some boys, you're gonna come out with some sore bodies. And it seems as though that the Bengals are another casualty of playing against the Ravens. And like I've said from the beginning of the season, ish, of course, anytime you play against some of these tougher, physically tougher teams, what is going to come down to, of course, is the battle of nutrition. And for that division itself, the AFC North, is going to be very interesting to see towards the end who's going to have the amount of healthy bodies that's going to allow them to make a playoff run. I think this is also a very, very big win for the Ravens and also Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson looks like he is a lot more comfortable within this new offense after 2 weeks. Be interesting to see, of course, how everything pans out for him moving forward. I like the balance that the offensive coordinator allowed Lamar to have when it comes to, of course, even though he's passing more, he's not allowing him to focus more on using his legs. Only about 54 yards rushing for Lamar for the game, which I think is great because if you have a running back rushing 100 plus yards every game, that's it's cool and all for the stats and for the Sports Center's top 10 plays, but you're not going to win too many games doing that on a consistent basis. So Lamar looks great so far after 2 weeks. I will always keep it real on this channel when it comes to talking about Lamar. When he plays well, I'm going to always support him and talk well about him. If he's playing like Dookie, like Justin Herbert, who we'll talk about very soon, I'm gonna get on his ass as well too. So that's just it is what it is. And XtalknIsh.
Yeah, Ravens played well. Statement win here. This was a big statement when we talked about it in the pregame show. Not only do they get to go 2-0, but they get to send their division rival 0-2, and that's 0-2 in the
In
division.
the division,
So that's
yeah,
even
big.
more of a problem for Cincinnati. Honestly speaking, it's about time we kind of have a talk about, are the Bengals resorting back to some old behaviors, and also do they have the makeup on their defense to do what they've been doing the past couple of years? And I say that not as an overreaction, but as like, you watch the first 2 weeks, and yeah, granted the offense has been slow out of the gates and has put them in difficult situations, but when you really watch this and you consider that they gave a 27 to the Ravens this week, they gave a 24 last week to the Browns, this defense, they're not quite playing like how they were playing the past 2 years, because the past 2 years they helped this offense out, and I would even say that kind of set up the offense to be as successful as they were. And now, if the defense isn't there, the offense is clearly struggling. I don't know how they right this ship. I mean, they were outgained 415 total yards by the Ravens to 282 by the Bengals. That is lopsided. That's not even close. That is a problem. So we're going to have to put Cincinnati on alert here. Maybe not high alert, maybe medium alert, but they're going to have to be on alert.
No, I definitely agree. You're definitely going to have raise a little bit of cause of concern for the Bengals just because of lack of preparation coming into the season for Joe Burrow, and then of course now starting the season off a little slow and not just on two overall as a record, but like you said, it's on two within the division. So you're already looking up when instead of looking just straight ahead at your division rivals. So now you're definitely looking up, and that's going to be something that's a tall task for the Bengals to have to overcome. So we'll see what happens with them moving forward. The Chiefs and the Jaguars, of course, we talked about on Sunday, a divisional rematch of last year for these two teams. I think I was the one that claimed that the Jaguars would take care of business, and I have no problems holding on to my predictions because at one point in time, it looked like the Jaguars were going to do it. But second half, Mahomes was able to take care of business as he does, and the Chiefs do what they do, and was able to edge out a very close one, an ugly one, a scrappy one. One so ugly, one so scrappy that Patrick Mahomes decided to throw it to an offensive lineman. He was just out here doing what he does. He just Patrick Mahomes, inventing new things. And if anything, if it was, I'm surprised the NFL didn't say, hey, we need to go ahead and just make that legal play because it's Patrick Mahomes. No,
Listen. I know you were rejoicing at the slow start that the Chiefs
I'm
had, and
rejoicing. I'm just saying, hey, I
you were
knew it was
like,
going to happen.
you're trying to compare them to the Bears offense and whoever other offense there is out there. But let me just say this: people aren't considering the fact that unlike last year where there was all the talk about Tyreek Hill, what are they going to be able to do without Tyreek Hill and everything, but they still had Eric Bieniemy there, and I think there's a big difference when you lose a playmaker versus when you lose a play caller, right? And as much as there was the question of whether or not Eric Bieniemy was the one making the calls or was it Andy Reid, I think you're seeing that there is an adjustment that's gonna have to happen now that Eric Bieniemy is no longer there and there's a new play caller in town and they're trying to figure out what are the tendencies, what are the right combinations, what is the balance that they need to be successful on offense. The offense is rightfully starting slow, but I will say Chris Jones' return, he wreaked havoc. He looks fresh. He looks like he ain't go to training camp. He looks like he didn't need training camp. So that's a bright spot, I will say. But the offense does need to figure it out sooner rather than later. Because if they continue to struggle, this defense cannot, hold everybody to 9 points. This was just like you said, very scrappy game. Both defenses were playing well, and eventually the Chiefs were just able to kind of turn it on. And I wouldn't even say they turned it on. They, you know,
They took care of
stuttered. They
business. They
sputtered
took
a little
they
bit
took care of
towards the
business.
end. Yeah,
They
and
they
they
did
took
what
care of the business.
championships teams do, and that's take care of business when it's time to take care of business.
They found a way to win for sure.
Now, again, this is one of those teams. Both of these teams are actually having the top three in the AFC. Of course, I have people that's call me crazy because I'm sorry. Actually, the Chiefs are on the outside for my top three. I have them at number four. Jaguars at three. Yes, the Chiefs did beat the Jags at home. I understand that, but again, I'm just looking at overall
It
the
wasn't
makeup
in
of the
London,
team.
so give them a
Exactly. If it was in
pass.
London, then the Jaguars would have won the game. But overall, like I said, I just like the makeup of the Jaguars team. I think if these two teams played again in the playoffs, I think the Jaguars get them. Again, I know I sound crazy saying this, but I think the Jaguars are are prepped and primed for a situation like this in the playoffs because of their head coach and their quarterback.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
agree
that's
with
what
that
helps
one.
them. I I think that's what helps them. We know how football is. You never know what's going to happen from week two to the playoffs. Certain injuries will happen. Certain players won't be there. It could help. The Jacks could hurt. But I like what I see in Jacksonville right now. Not a Super Bowl team at the moment, but I just like maybe them being a wild card of a team to wreak some havoc in the playoffs. Greg asks in the last previous topic, do you think the injury is affecting Joe Burrow?
Um, Maybe just a little bit, but not. I don't think that's the sole cause for the slow start that they're having. I think there's a lot going on with that offense. T. Higgins had no catches in that first game. There is so much going on. I know there's a lot of conversation around T. Higgins and his contract. There's a lot of conversation about the situation with Mixon over there in Cincinnati. Like, there's just so much going on over there. I think they've got a lot of distractions, and they need to, have a player only meeting, something, get together and just kind of figure out whether or not they're going to focus up and go out there and perform on the field, or if they're going to allow some of these other distractions to continue to cause problems for them.
You heard the man. You heard the man. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Chargers and the Titans. The reason why Ish is shaking his head right now because he just cannot believe that the Chargers let another game slip through their hands. I was, as a Titans fan, I definitely thought, hey, Chargers are going to take care of business. We're not going to win this game, and the Chargers pretty much gave us a layup. I don't know how to explain this one besides go ahead and fire Brandon Staley. I don't know what
Thank
we're
you.
waiting on. I don't
Yep,
know why we need to keep on
it's over.
evaluating. Um, I'm hoping that the Chargers continue to keep losing.
Dang,
I'm hoping that they go 0-6,
just
0-7. They're
like
like, you know
that.
what? We might need to go ahead and get a new voice to the locker room because I don't know if you saw that stat. I saw a stat earlier show that the Chargers are the only team in NFL history to score 52 points in the first two games with no
Yep,
turnovers
no
and
turnovers.
still lose the game.
Golly.
That's pretty unheard of. I mean, anytime you score in 52 points, so you're averaging about 26 points per game with no turnovers. I mean, again, you should win the game, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just head scratching of a franchise at the moment. You have studs all across the board on both sides of the ball. Just can't put it all together. Now, is it the coach? Is it the quarterback? Is it the players within the system that they're playing in? Is it the organization itself? Are the Chargers just cursed? Like, what is it? I don't understand it. Ish, can you help me out?
I mean, I really can't tell you. There's some of it has to fall on the shoulders of Justin Herbert and this offense, but I do think that that coaching staff, Staley in particular, I just don't think that he's the right man for the job. I think that we have enough of a sample size to say that he's just not the guy for the job, right? There was a point in and I just had his name, the former coach, um, on the tip of my tongue, and now I can't recall it. But there was a point in his tenure where we started to ask the question: does he just need to go? You
Come on,
can't
for the
make these.
Chargers,
Yes,
North Turner.
no,
Oh,
no. The black coach that was there previously,
oh, for the
before,
Chargers.
yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
Jesus, I have his name on. I was talking about. Yeah,
yep, I know. But I think with Staley, it's come to that point now where we got to say maybe it's time that he goes. Now they get an opportunity this week because they are going to travel to Minnesota, another 0-2 team, and maybe they get a chance. Anthony Lynn,
Anthony Lynn. There you go.
Anthony
Thank
Lynn, yeah, Anthony Lynn. There
There
became
you
a
go.
point in his tenure where we were questioning, like, bro, you can't be having these mistakes happening.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
that's just uncalled for. You're losing these games at the end, and I'm watching Brandon Staley's Chargers, and I'm saying,
More,
how,
more the same.
yeah,
If anything
how,
worse. If anything worse.
how? I swear they were gonna win this game. I was watching it at one point, and I'm like, yeah, Chargers, come on, please help me out with this, so that all three of these quarterbacks play throughout the season. And then I started watching another game, come back, and I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all here giving games away, and you're not even turning the ball. Like, that is the part for me that I just don't understand. Don't understand at all. But hey, they found a way to do it.
And that's why we talk about all the time. Football is not played on paper; it is played on the field. Frachuana says injuries are not affecting ownership is by not paying to protect him. They did spend some money, but they spent it on bums. And I think Fracture was talking about, of course, Joe Burrow with
in the
his
Bengals.
situation. Fracture also says Kellen Moore was smart on deciding to coach the Chargers because it ain't the offense failing them. Nope, not at all. Definitely is not, and that's something we talked about in the offseason as well. Don't be surprised at all if Kellen Moore, I'm sorry, if Brandon Staley gets fired, maybe Kellen Moore might
Kellen
be
Moore gonna take
be
over
have an
as the
opportunity to become
interim.
the head coach there. He maybe knew that, hey, I couldn't be the head coach at Dallas. Maybe I need to go on and move somewhere else. And we talk about it again all the time when it comes to quarterback head coaching um, relationships. The reason
Hmm.
why a lot of these head coaches have head coaching jobs right now is because of the relationship they have with their quarterbacks. So would not surprise me at all if Kellen Moore is able to become a head coach for the Chargers in the next 6 8 weeks. So
Wouldn't be surprised at
not
all.
at all, not at all. All right, Packers Falcons game, a very surprising game to say the least. Not because the Falcons won, because technically in Devin Ritter's tenure at the moment, he's actually undefeated at home. But just the way that the Falcons won this game, I was watching this game on Red Zone, and it seemed like at one point in time that none of these teams wanted to win the game. But overall, another great outing by Jordan Love. After 2 weeks, I mean, it looks like he's not a rookie because he isn't. Obviously, he's just a rookie because he hasn't played a full season yet. But he looks comfortable in this offense. He looks like um, that he's ready for this moment to be the starter. The real question, of course, will be depending on how his numbers look towards the end of the season. What are the Packers organization going to do when it comes to the moving forward with this contract? Are they going to invest in him, give him this big contract so he can be the Packers moving forward, be the Packers quarterback moving forward, or are they going to part ways and look into this heavy quarterback draft moving forward and maybe start over, which the Packers don't really do. So it'll be weird to have them say, you know what, we're okay. Let's go ahead and move on, and we'll look elsewhere for another quarterback. I think Jordan Love, if he continues to stay consistent, obviously no turnovers, and be the reason why your team don't lose games, I think you have an opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Packers moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's the guy moving forward. Now, the amount of money, that's going to be the issue, right? Because I don't know that he deserves anywhere near, top end quarterback money. Somewhere in the middle of the road, maybe. Yeah, fine. The numbers still got to work, but he looks pretty solid. He's gonna be It's gonna be an interesting one to see how Green Bay continues to do that because we'll get to it later on. But the same old Lions up there in Detroit, I don't know if they're quite ready to take over this division, and we've all seen what's going on in Minnesota as we've already alluded to. So that'll be interesting. But the Falcons, I mean, big win here. They definitely stood up at home, were able to finish this game out. And I mean, you got to be looking at this team and thinking to yourself, like, this is going to be interesting going down the stretch because they are in a division where there are three teams right now that are 2-0. And I think it's really anybody's division of those three teams as it stands right now. So, can Atlanta find a way to use this momentum that they have, especially the way they closed this game out, and ride that a little bit further? I don't know. I'm actually intrigued to see how they do it because they are one of those strong running teams, and we talk about it every year towards the end of the season. Any team that's strong running the ball and playing good defense, that's the kind of team that teams don't want to face because that's the perfect time of year to really have a good running game and a good defense. So it'll be interesting to see how long they hang in this battle for first in the NFC South.
Now you talk about the divisions. Now, for me, in my opinion, it's the Saints division to lose in the NFC South. I think the
Oh
Saints,
yeah, I still think
their,
so.
their defense alone, I think is a championship caliber defense. The offense needs to pick itself up, and I think it will get better with time. We both know this. When it comes to offense, it takes a little bit longer to come along comparison to defenses when it comes to a new team. But for the Packers, I think the NFC North is wide open. Besides the Bears, I mean, for the most part, I think any three of these teams right now, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers, can win this division. And I was going to, at one point in time, you think of the Packers being a sneaky pick, but I just didn't know how Jordan Love would play City for
Mm-hmm.
so long. But if you look at the history of guys that sit, they perform well.
They
And
do.
obviously, a guy like Aaron Rodgers and also Patrick Mahomes, even though Patrick Mahomes only really sat for a little bit less than a year, and a lot of people feel like he didn't really sit, he still technically sat and he waited and he was able to get his chance, and look what he's doing now. Not comparing Jordan Love to those two, but it's interesting when you see the numbers and you see the history of guys that do sit and the guys that get thrown into the fire, the success rate on both sides. So um, more to come for the Packers. They have a good formula over there. I think Matt LaFleur is proving more and more that he is a pretty decent coach out here, because my concerns was he riding on Aaron Rodgers' coattails the whole time of him being a head coach, obviously with Aaron Rodgers being there.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's able to prove his own self as a coach out here in the NFL without it being Aaron Rodgers' wingman. And we'll pretty much go from there. Maybe the Packers, as an organization, maybe they know what the hell they're doing over there. Frax Runner says he has not lost a home game since high school. He's talking about Desmond Ritter on that one. That's pretty interesting of a fact there. And Travis Croce says Love needs to work on that quarterback sneak. He's not the only one. Bryce Young as well needs to work on
Golly.
that quarterback sneak as well. Since we are halfway through our show, I wanted to go ahead and save for the end of the show, but I want to go ahead and make sure I do it in the midway point and also towards the end of the show as well. So I'm going to display the trivia question that we have for today for the mini helmet. Make sure that you save your answer for the end of the season. So when it's time to use those answers to regurgitate, to let me know what you have, you'll be able to win this mini helmet. So the question for today is, it's going to be Monday Night Football themed. Now, if you know the answer, keep it towards yourself. Don't type it down. Don't let everybody else know. But the question is, what NFL team has the most appearances on Monday Night Football? Again, what NFL team has the most appearances on Monday Night Football? Now, that is the question. Keep it to yourself. I'll repeat the question later on after we're done with all of our topics for tonight. And we'll go from there. So again, make sure you keep your answers to yourself. Don't let everybody else know unless you want to be generous and you want to let everybody else know. But if I were you, I would keep it to yourself. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Seahawks and the Lions. Another great game, another great matchup between these two teams. Anytime that they play against each other, they put up a minimum of 30 points per team. And they did not disappoint once again. Seahawks won this game 37-31. Ish, you start this one off first. You said that the Lions look like they're not ready for the big show just yet. I'll let you continue on with that statement.
Yeah, same old lines. Same old lines. This was a good opportunity at home. A team in Seattle that obviously they lost a big game at home. They needed to bounce back, but this was the chance to solidify the claims you were making in week one. This is why I was laughing at all the Lions fans that were acting as if they had just won the Super Bowl after they beat the Chiefs in week one. Because, hey, it's a long season. One game, especially in week one or early in the season, does not take your team to the Super Bowl. So I was expecting to see some sort of, continuation of what happened in Kansas City. And obviously, the Lions got up for that game and then they immediately came back down to earth because the Seahawks came into Detroit and beat them.
In the words of our favorite rappers, came into their trap and took over their trap. And Greg, as he states on YouTube, Seahawks made the Lions fans throw away those stupid blue
Yeah,
ski masks.
they need to.
And the worst part about all that, the player that initiated the ski mask, everybody's favorite corner, except for, of course, Eli Apple out there. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he was the one, of course, that wanted to make sure that everybody wore a blue ski mask. He ended up, of course, getting hurt this game, and it seems as though after MRI shows that he has a torn pec, he could be out for the rest of the season.
Mm.
So, I mean, just what a insult to injury on that one there for the Lions. I'm not saying C.J. Gardner Johnson isn't a great player. I think he's a guy that is replaceable. I don't think he stops the Lions train from being successful, but they gotta figure something out real quick because, like you said, Ish, this is a team that seems as though that they don't know how to win yet. And we talk about that a lot, right? When it comes to teams have to go
Mm-hmm.
through a maturing phase, you have to learn how to lose to be able to win first. And the way that they acted after week one beating the Chiefs, you come back home and you play against a really good Seahawks team who you're supposed to beat at home and you don't take care of business, that raises a little cause for concern because can you guys get back on track and pretty much just steady the ship? Again, it's only 2 weeks of the season, so I'm not trying to cause a panic or at the moment anything like that. But like you said, Ish, do you want to be the same old Lions, or do you want us to take you a little bit more seriously? And that's on the Lions and their organization to let us know that they're going to come out every game and buckle up that chin strap and slap somebody in the mouth. So we'll see if that all takes place moving forward for the Lions. But right now, looking a little suspect in the NFC. All right, Colts Texans. You know how that is when it comes to Houstonian fans have to deal with another season of losing football. We do feel bad for you Houstonians, but at least you have the Astros, so happy about that. Um, Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson left his game early once again. 2 weeks back to back in a row now, leaving the game early due to injury after scoring his second rushing touchdown. Hit the turf a little hard on his head there and was out for the rest of the game. But of course, Gardner Minshew comes in and take care of business, and that's something I've stated before, not just on the show, but to everybody that watches football in the NFL now more than ever. You need two good quarterbacks. As we just saw with this game here, Gardner Minshew comes in, plays well, and is able to win this game, which again should probably beat the Texans even with a third stringer.
Okay,
Again, no
thank you.
disrespect.
I was
I'm
about to
just
say,
saying.
I was about to say, yeah,
I'm
but
just
it's
saying,
the
no
Texans.
disrespect. I'm
No,
just saying the
no,
Texans
no.
are not great of a
Even them
team,
Texans, like,
but
no.
overall, I like the fight in the Texans. CJ Stroud, numbers wise, it looks good, but the overall play on film, there's some sloppy things that are going on the field itself that will be corrected. But you got to get CJ Stroud some help there. 4 of his top linemen are out for the season. Laramie Tunsil was out that game as well. So pretty much had a makeshift offensive line for this last game. CJ Stroud will be better. CJ Stroud is a good quarterback. The question is will he be able to even make it through this season and not turn into David Carr, not Derek Carr, of course, the younger brother of David.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's obviously the question for the Texans. I mean, he at this point, you're not going to go win anything. But what you're hoping is that he's able to get experience and he's able to continue to grow in the game. And next year, you're able to compete in this AFC South. But to be honest, man, it's going to be hard because the line is beat up and they just cannot stop anything or anyone. They can't stop a soul. And I don't know that this guy can make it throughout the season if he continues to take this kind of punishment week in and week out. They've got to keep moving him. They've got to get him out of the pocket. But even in doing that, it's not really helping either. So I'm at a loss really at like how they're going to do this, but they got to protect him a little bit more so that he can continue to play and continue to get experience, but also do so in a safe fashion.
No, I definitely agree on that one. Let's get to the comment section right quick. Fresh one that says the Lions ski mask equals the Texans Letterman jackets. Woo! Yeah, I remember that game. What a wow! I thought we were all in high school once again with that one. I just didn't really understand it. Morris Lane, of course, Texans fan. He said, "Hey, watch it." When it comes to his team, he says they are in rebuild mode. Understandable. No hate over here. First, want to also ask: is Gardner the best backup quarterback in the NFL, I will say no. I will give that throne to Jameis Winston at the moment. Ish. What about you?
I'm gonna say no. I don't know who I'm giving that to exactly right now, but I'm not giving it to Jameis.
I'm giving it to Jameis. So whenever you think of a better backup, you let me know. Like I said, we already got Mo. Mo said Winston, and also I guess Wait because I guess he's trying to figure out another one.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I think he's saying, wait, like, are you crazy?
no, he's agreeing with me. He said Winston, so obviously it's
I
Winston.
think he said Winston exclamation point, like, are you insane?
Frank want to say Mr. 30 for 30. You damn Skippy. I better stop disrespecting. Just because you do it one time, stop disrespecting 30 for 30, goddamn it, okay? Dominique Powell says, what's up,
Gonna have
fellas?
to eat
AR
that
looking a
W.
lot better than I thought he would. I watched a couple of games in college. He wasn't good to me. Well, that's why you got to stop leaking out that weak-ass college Florida film. Don't rely on that college Florida film. You got to rely on your boy X Williams here. I told y'all Anthony Richardson was going to be good. Stop listening to all these fake ass scouts out here. I'm here to give you all the truth, except for in prize picks, because fuck that application. I'll talk about that another day. I'm not in the mood when it comes to prize picks. Travis Crowe says Cooper Rush is the best backup quarterback. No, we're not. No. Anyways, Mo says y'all dog the Texans and then say Winston is the best second string.
See,
No,
I
I'm not.
told
No,
you
I'm
he
not
wasn't
agreeing.
agreeing with you.
First
I
of all,
told you he wasn't agreeing
sir.
with you on that dang Winston is the yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If you don't believe me, then who would you rather have as a backup quarterback? Go look at the backup quarterbacks right now in the NFL, and you can let me know if you would rather have somebody else other than Winston.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would rather have somebody else.
All right. Before we get into our next topic for our next game, let's go into a quick topic that I want to talk about. First, to start off with, what 0-2 team has a chance of making the playoffs? Now, of course, to remind everybody, the only two teams at the moment, you have the Patriots, Bengals, Texans, Chargers, Broncos, Vikings, Bears, Panthers, and Cardinals. Ish and everybody tuning in, what 0-2 team has a chance of making the playoffs? Ish?
I'd probably have to go with the Vikings. If I'm being honest, some I kind of want to say the Texans because they're in a division where they're 0-2 and everybody else in the division is 1-1. But then when you look at that offensive line, you look at that defense, they're just not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry to say it, they're just not going to be able to do it. So while looking at the records, you would want to say the Texans. I think it's the Vikings. I think the NFC North is wide open. I don't know that Detroit's quite ready to take that. Green Bay, we've seen that Love is playing well, but can he finish these games? All of these games, I don't know. I think I would roll with Kirk Cousins before I roll with Jordan Love at the moment. So yeah, I think the Vikings are the team. The Patriots, there's no way. There is no way they're competing in that division. The Bengals, unfortunately, they've got some strong players in their division, and starting in a 0-2 hole, while not ideal, they could definitely turn it around. But I've got some question marks about them, so I'm gonna just stay with the Vikings.
Of course, we have different opinions here for everybody that's tuning in. We have the Vikings from Fractured Walnut. We had Coach T in the building. He says the Bengals. Mo says the Texans. Travis Crowe says the Bengals. And Greg says the Chargers and the Vikings.
I don't know about the
Um,
Chargers.
I feel the same way now. When I, of course, thinking of this question at first, I was going to automatically say the Bengals because they did it last year. But because of the division, the way that it's set up right now in the AFC North, I just don't see them making that same type of run that they did, the way that they made it to the Super Bowl. It's just a tough sledding for them in that division. Um, I do like the Vikings because of their division itself, and also there's no Kirk Cousins playing well, right? There's no Kirk Cousins is the reason why that this team is trash. No, Kirk Cousins has his connection with Justin Jefferson. That's not the issue at all. Everybody as a team just needs to play better, and I think the Vikings will be fine. I think they make a second half push. So for right now, for me, I have the Vikings finding a way to make the playoffs after starting 0-2. So let's go ahead and get to who is the most surprising 2-0 team at the moment. And of course, to remind everybody, we have the Dolphins, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, and 49ers. Same goes as last time. Everybody's tuning in. Let us know who you think the most surprising 2-0 teams. Ish, start it off.
I think for me, it has to be the Buccaneers. It has to be the Buccaneers. I don't think a lot of people thought that they were going to be able to do what they've been able to do. And then I also think when you look at the matchups that they had, not necessarily week 2 as much as week 1 against the Vikings, I don't think many people gave them a chance to beat the Vikings in week 1. And that's why for me, I think it's got to be the Buccaneers. They're just I don't know many people had them sitting where they are right now.
No, I mean, million percent agree because before the season started, we were talking about counting down the days when Todd Bowles is going to get fired, right? I mean, but to have that conversation and then to be where we're at right now after week 2, and as Baker Mayfield, of course, being the QB1 at the moment for this team, I'm just looking around like, are the wheels going to finally fall off for this team in the next couple more weeks, or is this something that's sustainable for the Bucs? Can they actually compete in the division? I'm still trying to figure this out. Like, I don't know if this is just early flukish success or if this is something that can transpire into something that maybe be a playoff run ish. What do you see?
Um, it's hard to say with the NFC South because you've always got the worst to first going on over there. So who knows? It's going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people want to say the Commanders. The only problem I have with the Commanders and saying they're surprising is that they did have Arizona the first game, and then they had Denver the second game. And when we look at it and we look at those teams, Arizona, I think everybody was saying, tank for Caleb. So we would expect the Commanders to win that game, and then the Broncos have just been a hot mess. So I don't know. I am surprised that they're 2-0, but at the same time, I'm not as surprised because the teams they played are they lucked into 2 opponents that the Broncos that
I mean, and that's understandable. And the Broncos are something, of course, big talk in the offseason with Sean Payton joining the crew. And can he get Russ into old Russ ish? If Russ isn't cooking by week 8, Russ is going to
can we
be a free
trade him,
agent.
please? Yeah,
I
they
mean,
need to trade him,
Russ is not
cut
going to be a
him, do
Bronco
whatever.
that any longer. And I mean, okay. So if you trade him, where do you trade him to? And I'm not going to turn this into a Broncos quarterback mystery right now. I'm just trying to think about, okay, if this isn't going to work for the Broncos, obviously they're going to keep Sean Payton, but what are they going to do with Russ, right?
Mm-hmm. I
So
mean, you trade him, like I said. You go out and you trade him somewhere. You asked where do you trade him to? Off the top of my head, I can't even really think about it to
oh,
be
sorry,
honest,
I
because I,
don't know. I
I
don't know.
don't. Well, you could trade him
New
to New
York?
York.
New York?
You could trade him to New York.
Right
That
off the
would
top of
be
my head, yeah,
interesting.
New York.
One of
Would
the
New
New
York
York
be?
teams. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe one team. Maybe they're willing to move on from Danny Dimes. Maybe Sean Payton might see something in Danny Dimes and he'd be willing
Hmm.
to use him as a bridge quarterback. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll talk. We'll cross that bridge when it gets here. Greg says the Buccaneers, that boy Baker Mayfield playing well for some odd reason. Dominique Powell says Baker will turn back to Baker, if we all know what
That's
that
not very
means.
nice.
Coach T says the Falcons are the most surprising 2-0 team. Travis Crowe says the Commanders are the most surprising 2-0 team. And then Mo said, did you already talk about the 1-1 Chiefs?
Yeah,
Yes,
we did talk about the
we
Chiefs.
actually did. We did talk about the 1-1 Chiefs. You got to tune in a little earlier to put your
Yeah,
little input on
we
them
talked about the
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
You gotta come in and join us a little bit sooner than that. All right, going from being the most surprising 2-0 team at the moment to us talking about the most surprising 2-0 team, the Bucks took care of business at home against the Bears, and
Mm-hmm.
let's be real, but we just got done talking about the Bucks. That's fine. Let's go ahead and shift the conversation to Justin Fields because I was a big supporter of Justin Fields over the offseason. I said, look, bad system. just a bad situation. Let's get him some more pieces in there. Let's help him out, right? After 2 weeks, yes, it's easy to put the blame on Justin Fields. He probably deserves about 80% of it, right? I have to give him until about another 4 to 6 more weeks to see what I can see from him, and I will say, okay, that's about it from Justin Fields, because I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. I'm not.
That's
But I
fair.
do know and I do understand that he's not as good as a quarterback that I want him to be. I'm not going to act oblivious to that. But overall, he has to get better, and if he's not, then the Chicago Bears will be in the running for a new quarterback. Yes, yes.
Tank
Yeah.
for anyone. Tank for anyone. At this rate, tank for anyone. Anyone at this point. Justin Fields has regressed as a quarterback. He has regressed. Also, they don't know how to utilize him. There are some times where it feels like, okay, they kind of are trying to play to his strengths. And then there are other times where you're looking at him and you're like, why are we calling this play? What is going on in Chicago? I think from the very beginning, they just have not been able to figure out how they want to utilize him, what's the best way to utilize him, how to get the right things out of him. He's got to leave. I think you tank for anyone at this point. Any of the top quarterbacks there, you want them. Tank. Justin Fields needs to no longer be a Bear.
Fractuana says Kyler for Justin.
No, that's not happening. Nobody's trading anyone for Justin Fields. Maybe a late draft pick or something, but I don't think anybody's trading players for Justin Fields, let alone
And
Kyler Murray.
speaking of Kyler Murray, we segue right into his team, the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, failed once again by not closing the door on the New York Giants and stepping on their necks when you were up by a couple touchdowns and you ended up losing the game by 3 points. Don't understand um, how that happened, but well, actually, I do, because I talked about it on the pregame show. I told y'all that the Cardinals were going to be leading this game, and then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, somebody's going to make a call up from their little perch that they copy from Jerry Jones, and they're going to say, "Hey, I know you ain't Cliff Kingsbury no more, but I need you to go ahead and call some wacky plays where we don't win this game." And that's pretty much what happened. The Giants found a way to have Danny Dimes look a lot better than what he is, and the Giants came back and won this game. I don't know what to say about this. I'm going to wrap it up when it comes to the Cardinals are going to Cardinal, and apparently they're in tank for Caleb right now. So
Yeah, they can take. They can. You can say what you want to say. Danny Dimes, what a resilient performance. Started off slow, then in the second half, he really turned it on. Helped lead the team to a victory. Saquon, we'll have to see what the updates are from Saquon and what's going on over there. But Arizona, yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to race Chicago for that number one pick.
yeah, I mean, it's really nothing too much to talk about when it comes to this matchup. The Cardinals, yeah, we might just have to skip that team every time that game comes up. 49ers Rams, another classic matchup once again for these two teams. 49ers took care of business. Already pretty much look like they're in midseason form. Rams, I will say, they look good. I mean, to have a unknown Rams team come into the season, not really know what we're going to get out of them, to beat Seattle in week 1 and then have a pretty competitive game, even though they were at home. Like I stated in the pregame show, you saw nothing but a sea of red inside of LA. I'm excited to see this second matchup in San Fran. I think the Rams will make it competitive once again. I don't think they'll steal that one. I think 49ers sweep this series, but watch out for the Rams. And, of course, their rookie that they have, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. I know you know it, Ish, but that wide receiver rookie that they have for the Rams, when Cooper Kupp gets there, maybe that can be a nice little duo there that the Rams might have moving forward, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams look good. Definitely surprised at how well the Rams are playing. Puka Nakua.
There you go. See, I wasn't going to get that name right at all, so I didn't even try it.
But Yeah, I think the surprising factor is the Rams and how well they're playing and how well they look. Um, but with the 49ers, they're more of the same. It's business as usual. They're going back. I think they're hungry. They really want to be. They want to make it back to the conference championship, make it back to the Super Bowl, and I definitely think they got the makeup to do it. I would say if you're asking me, my top three in the NFC, it is going to be Dallas, then the 49ers, and then Philadelphia. If I'm just being honest.
I respect it. Not mad at that at all. I respect it. Let us comment from Coach T. He says Rams don't have an identity,
But
but
they're
they are
playing
playing
well.
well.
That's
I
true.
1,000,000% agree
Very
on that
true.
because I mean, of course, you have now back in the trade talks once again. Cam Akers is on the trading block.
Oh my gosh.
Even
Can
even
we
Cam
figure that out, please?
even Cam Akers is worried. Not worried. I'm sorry, not worried, but surprised of this trade talk. He doesn't know what's going on. Um, Again, when it comes to what the Rams are doing, I don't really know. But we'll see what
Absolutely
happens.
ridiculous.
Travis Crowe says, I do feel bad for Saquon. That's a
I don't
good
feel
back
bad for
in a wrong
Saquon.
team.
He need to start carrying his end of
Here we
the
go.
bargain, bro. He need to start
Here
carrying
you
his
go.
load. Danny Dimes can't carry him and throw the ball for the team.
Here this guy go. All right, Giselle Bundchen. Relax.
I'm
Relax.
just trying to say, man, Danny Dimes can't lead the team in rushing and passing. Not with a back like Saquon on the team. Come on, Saquon.
He'll be
You
back
telling
in
me you
about he'll
can't
be back in about
outrush
3 weeks.
you can't outrush Danny Dimes? Yeah, he gonna be back in 3 weeks, and Danny Dimes is only gonna end up leading the team by like 300 yards
Reports
instead of.
reports did say that apparently he might be able to play on this Thursday night game, which I don't believe at all. They said he's a fast healer. He could be ready by Thursday. I don't believe that, but we'll see. Maybe next week. Maybe. I don't know. Fresh Runner says just trade Cam to Baltimore and call it a day. JK is done, in my opinion.
Mm.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Jets and the Cowboys. Unfortunately, this was not the matchup that we wanted when it comes to Dak
No,
Prescott taking on Zach Wilson. We was hoping to have the Aaron Rodgers show in Dallas, but unfortunately we didn't get that. So, of course, Cowboys won this game. Not too much to really talk about. I'm sorry, Travis Crowe, to disappoint you. We're not going to spend an hour on the Cowboys, but the Cowboys took care of business. I mean, like Ish said, this is his number one team in the NFC at the moment. I'm going to not put the Cowboys up there because I don't want Cowboys fans to feel disappointed after they find a way to not win the Super Bowl once again.
oh, goodness.
I don't want them to. It's the cycle that we do every year. Cowboys fans get hyped. This is our year. We them boys. It's great time. It's Christmas in July. Yippee doo, and then all of a sudden, then December time frame comes. Something happens. January comes. Something happens, and then they end up putting Zeke Elliott as center, and then you have the 49ers beat the Cowboys at home. Again, I don't do this. This is the script that's written out there for the Cowboys to not play with. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I don't care about week 2 football for the Cowboys. I want to see what they're looking like week 17, week 18 going into the playoffs. That's what I care about. Right now, look amazing. Defense looks great. Um, Everything looks great. I mean, but again, we've seen the story all the time. I just want to see how it looks later on the season. Ish.
I don't agree with that. I don't think we've seen the story over and over again. I think
Yeah,
this is
because
a
we didn't
different.
just see them have the most turnovers for the defensive side of the ball the last 2 years. But continue though.
I think this is
Continue.
different. This is a different team, different mentality. I think that this defense is playing at a level that is second to none at the moment. They are the best defense in the league as of right now. Uh, the question is going to be, can they stay healthy this entire year? Are they going to be able to stay healthy, or maybe not the entire year, but when somebody does go down, is the next man able to step in and continue to keep the machine rolling? Because right now they are a well-oiled machine, and they are doing something that I think the rest of the league needs to take notice, because this team is the team to beat in the NFC. And if teams allow them to continue to do what they're doing, they will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Sound good. Fresh one that says, I don't want to hear nothing about the Cowboys till playoff time. They always have good seasons. Side note, Dak is 2-7 in the playoffs. It's all on him and only him.
We'll have to wait and see.
And like Coach T says, Cowboys are an accident waiting to happen. Just saying, just saying. All right, Commanders, Broncos, not too much really to talk about here. One of those. First of all, I will say the only thing we really need to talk about is at the end of the game. How in the hell you actually complete the Hail Mary to pull the game into 2 points, and then you don't get the 2-point conversion to tie the damn ball game up. That just goes to show you that's just week 2 of the Sean Payton experiment in Denver with Russell Wilson. One of them boys ain't gonna last for the next 6 more weeks, and I'm pretty sure it ain't gonna be Russ. So we'll see how that all pans out in Denver. Ain't really too much to talk about. Nobody really want to talk about these two teams. Let's go ahead and move on to Sunday Night Football. Dolphins and Patriots. Ish, any feedback on this one?
Nope.
Not really. Only thing I really have to say about this is we talked about this in the pregame show. The Patriots were going to do what they were going to do when it comes to taking away Tyreek Hill. I stated that in the pregame show. They did that, limited him to less than 40 yards in that game. Jalen Waddle did what he needed to do. But overall, this win was a team win, right? If you look at how the Dolphins were able to win this game, this was a team win on both sides of the ball. To be able to come into New England and win a game like this has to be great when it comes to mental psyche for this Dolphins team. This is another franchise where I don't really care what you guys do in the regular season because you guys are so talented. I need to see it in the postseason. And for the most part, the Dolphins, the only team that can really stop them at this point is the Dolphins, right? I mean, if they keep playing this well, I don't see the Bills really keeping up with them. Obviously, the Patriots are not going to do that either. And the Jets, the defense can probably slow them down, but can they keep up points-wise? And I don't think so. So right now, if everybody stays healthy, it's the Dolphins really for the most part in that division. Saints and Panthers, woo! This was an ugly one to have to watch. This was so ugly. My wife is a Saints fan, and she didn't want to watch it. That's how ugly the game was. But that's what football is about sometimes. Sometimes it's them ugly, sloppy games that you have to get through to take care of business to put a dub on your record, and that's what the Saints were able to do. Right now, if I'm matching up, yes, the Saints are not going to beat the Cowboys. I'm not even going to entertain that at the moment. But I do like the Saints' path to be able to get to the conference championship game because of them being in not such a physical division comparison to the Cowboys. Over time, the Cowboys can definitely lose a lot of bodies throughout the season due to playing against that treacherous NFC East. But playing in NFC South, it could allow the Saints to stay healthy throughout the season and maybe make a late playoff run. So right now, I like what the Saints are doing. Played well against the Titans, of course, last week. Played well this week against the Panthers. But I expect more of the same from the Panthers moving forward. Dominique Powell said the offense, man, of course, my resident Panthers fan, my boy Dominique Powell. I said this once and I'll say it again, Dominique. We do not need to have the Carolina Panthers on Monday Night Football or any national ever again this season because we don't need, none of us need to be subjected to that type of torture for a 2.5 hour basis. We don't want to watch that. So no more for the Panthers this season.
Yeah, the Panthers. That's ugly.
We like Bryce Young. I like him, but one, he needs to get in the damn weight room because it's too damn small. I'm sorry. Man. And yeah, you could say you got to get better receivers, but Bryce Young, man, he just looks small, man. Like don't get me wrong, the mechanics itself, the act of throwing, the zip on the ball, the accuracy, all of that is there. It's just the physicalness of himself. He's just a little small, unfortunately. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on that one. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with the Browns and the Steelers. We did pick the Browns to win that game, and the Steelers took care of business at home. And I'm pretty sure after the third quarter, when they played Renegade, is when they finally said, you know what, we need to take care of this business. And TJ Watt delivered with a fumble recovery in the fourth quarter to seal this game for the Steelers, and they won this game 26-22. Ish, what were your takeaways from this game?
A win's a win, but I'm not convinced with Pittsburgh at the moment. There were chants of fire Canada. I'm part of the group saying fire Canada. I don't like the offense. I don't like the way he's utilizing some of his weapons on the offense. Sure, every now and again they have a big play. They're able to find some of these guys who just are very talented guys, right? Um, but ultimately the offense is going to hold this team back. They're only going to go as far as the defense. And honestly, if it weren't for that defensive scoop and score, we're talking about a totally different story here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're talking
So,
about the 0-2 Steelers at the moment.
man, they've got to figure something out on the offensive side.
Um, yeah, I mean, like you said, if it wasn't for that, but not just that, it wasn't just that scoop and score that made the Browns lose the game. It was obviously turnovers throughout the whole game that kept this game a lot closer than it should have been. Maybe the Browns easily could have won this game by a touchdown or so. But when you play these two types of teams, the type of matchups the type of style of play that they have for this matchup, anytime that a turnover happens, it shifts momentum so drastically to where 3 turnovers really obviously make the difference of this game. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Do the Browns get them at home when they play again? There's no guarantee with these two. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the Steelers are able to steal this game in Cleveland. But for the most part, the Browns, they let a great opportunity slip through their hands, especially playing in Pittsburgh, going up, trying to be up 2-0 on the season, and being able to try to lift a little bit of this dark cloud away from Cleveland, not just obviously from the organization, but also Deshaun Watson. But also, too, I think sometimes Ish going through the wins and the losses throughout the season, it helps mold your team to become who you are going into the postseason, learning more about yourself, learning what we can and can't do. This is something that the Browns can definitely take from themselves and figure out more about themselves moving forward into the season. Travis Crow says, "Hit me up, X. I got you on Prize Picks 160 last night. Going to cash out on Thursday Night Football. Get your money, Travis. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. I got you, Playboy." Other than that, last thing for tonight, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Again, for a chance to be able to win this mini helmet signed by Mr. Leonard Williams. What NFL team has the most appearances on Monday Night Football? Save your answer. Save your answer. But again, what NFL team has the most appearances on Monday Night Football? Again, keep it in the Monday Night Football thing because we had 2 Monday Night Football games on this past season or this past Monday, and just wanted to go ahead and keep it with the Monday Night Football theme. So go ahead and save your answer for the end of the season, and we'll go ahead and, of course, give out that helmet that I am not hand delivering. I'm going ahead and mail it out to you. Coach T said the Browns are mediocre, average at best, and unfortunately, after Nick Chubb's injury, and after Nick Chubb's injury, yeah, it's definitely a average at best right now. Travis Crow says that question is easy, and pretty sure it probably is to the right people if you know the right answer for the most part. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here for tonight. We appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Thank y'all for joining us a couple more minutes after the hour. We have to go ahead and squeeze in everything. Tune in on Sunday for the pregame show. Well, of course, I'll be announcing my prize picks that I probably won't be winning because fuck prize picks, and we'll go from there. So, as always, tune in on Sunday at 10 Central Time, 11 Eastern Time, and we'll see y'all from there. See y'all next time.